Welcome back, everyone. Pal Ponder on Weather here. Let's expand the view this morning and take a look at the big picture and really break down the details for you. Let's take a look at 95L because that's been really fighting this Saharan dust every step of the way, but that's going to continue to moving westbound. We do have another little tropical wave that's impacting portions of the Lesser Antilles. We have yet another tropical wave out here just north of the Bahamas. That's going to be shifting off towards portions of Florida as we get deeper into the week. And out here off the east, we're trying to get this monsoonal flow starting to get activated, but it's been really having a tough time this year. They can desperately need some of those monsoonal rains, but I just don't really see too many signs of it. And further to the north, we have another area of convection of storms that's going to be blowing up across portions of Nebraska. That's going to get its act together later on this afternoon and produce rounds of showers and thunderstorms. And off here further to the northeast, we do have another convective complex, and a severe thunderstorm watch will likely be issued this afternoon across these portions of Delaware into Washington, D.C., back into portions of New Jersey. So here's the setup for today on the CAPE index. We've got a lot of convective available potential of energy to work with just on the northern periphery. I mean, out west, they've got a lot of sinking air. You're dominating over that ridge of high pressure down to the southwest and much of the southern plains. It's really on the northern periphery. We have these mesoscale, they call them MCSs, that kind of blow up in the heat of the afternoon, and that's exactly what we're going to be seeing. We're probably going to be seeing a series of these storms. In fact, the highest impact days are actually going to be tomorrow going into your Friday time frame. I think those are going to be your two most impactful days in the week ahead. So, but for today, we do have some storms to talk about that's going to be blowing up across this region. So we've got to be concerned about convective complexes that's going to be blowing up across portions of South Dakota, going into portions of Nebraska, going into portions of central Minnesota, diving into Iowa into the heat of the afternoon, early evening time frame. And then yet we have another area of disturbed weather, convective complexes. This actually might shift a little bit further to the north, but nonetheless, definitely be on high alert if you live down here towards Delaware, into DC, back into Jersey, going in all the way up to New York City. Those areas are the highest probability of seeing those strong storms later on this afternoon. So here's the setup going forward. In fact, the latest update from the Storm Prediction Center has a probability of an 80%. In fact, they should be issuing this severe thunderstorm watch at any moment. This is for some damaging winds and some larger hail, literally from the noon time frame going into like the 6 o'clock time frame. So definitely we're watching this area convective complex going to be taking advantage of some of that daytime heating, and those could be some stronger wind producers. We're talking the 60, possibly 65 mile per hour winds, and can't be ruled out some quarter size hail, maybe even some ping pong size hail can't be ruled out in some of these stronger thunderstorms. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of heat to contend with for a good part of the country as this ridge of high pressure just really starts to expand. Obviously, it's been really just crazy warm out here in the desert southwest, across the southern plains, but you're going to be sharing some of that heat across the central plains. Those triple digits reach portions of Kansas, going up into Nebraska. They reached triple digits yesterday. I think I even saw 108 up here in Montana, and that's going to be shifting a little bit further off to the east. And so eventually that's going to be shifting into portions of Minneapolis. But you can see where those cooler conditions are across the very northern periphery of the U.S., the central and northern Minnesota, back into Wisconsin, through the upper peninsula area, and a little bit further south. So we're going to be watching these series of convective complexes blowing up on the northern periphery of that ridge. And for today, this is the main setup heading into tomorrow. So by the time we head into, say, your 9 o'clock in the morning time frame, here's your lift mechanism. We've got these just small vortices within the atmosphere taking some of the advantage of that colder air aloft. And you got a lot of fueling these thunderstorms with all the heat further to the south. And then, yes, we're going to have another convective complex going to be originating somewhere in the vicinity of Wisconsin here, and that's going to be diving into portions of Illinois. And by the time it hits Michigan and heading into Indiana and the portions of Ohio, that's going to be prime time heating of the day. And that's when they're really going to be starting blowing up and turning even more severe, because it's got a lot of water vapor they're going to be tapping into, all that Gulf moisture, well above average sea surface temperature anomalies. Once it gets past that ridge, then it's all bets are off, and it's got plenty of fuel to fuel these, tapping into some of these higher dew points. And I'll show you some of these dew points are well into the 70s. But in fact, we talked about this yesterday. I felt like this was going to be upgraded to an enhanced risk, and they already actually pulled the trigger. So this is an area of concern, probably the most impactful day. And I think another day is going to be coming up on Friday. So these storms are going to be originating somewhere near the Milwaukee vicinity around 9 o'clock in the morning. And these are going to be diving south. There are going to be some rotation with it, so can't be ruled out. Some of these could include some tornadic spin up tornadoes within this region towards the Grand Rapids region, into Toledo, back into Detroit region, into the Cleveland region. But yes, high wind gusts are going to be the most prominent prone threat with these storms. And some of these could be upwards to over 70 miles an hour. Definitely can't be ruled out, and could have some larger hail. In fact, some of these areas could actually see enhanced risk, especially along this zone here as we get closer to this event going into tomorrow. So don't be surprised if this enhanced actually gets expanded across this region as we get deeper into tomorrow time frame. But you can see kind of the ribs kind of showing up on the latest high resolution guidance with these wind gusts are going to be coming across. So we're going to have another convective complex going to be originating likely tonight further north into central and northern Minnesota. And then once it kind of hits the overnight hours, it more or less kind of dies out across portions of Wisconsin. And then it picks back up again in the morning hours, and really starts to intensify as we get into the afternoon across a good part of Michigan here. And that's going to be diving across the Great Lakes here. So definitely be on high alert. And some of these wind gusts could easily approach the 70, possibly 75 mile per hour range going into tomorrow afternoon. You can see the setup by noon with this convective complex on the latest satellite water vapor imagery blowing up across portions of Michigan. So this whole area has got to be on high alert tomorrow for really all three modes of severe storms, with the most high impact with very damaging winds. And then you have that tornadic spin ups and some larger hail associated with these storms. But as this continues to move east southeastward, there's the convection really lining up, and some of the same areas are going to get hit hard today with storms are going to get hit hard again on Thursday with another little small vorticity. Your lift mechanism up in the atmosphere, that's going to be the culprit to overturn the atmosphere and produce those strong to severe thunderstorms as we get into the afternoon time frame. And there it is again, another area of slight risk from DC to Philly to New York, New Jersey, back into New York City, into Hartford, back into Albany, going into Concord, all the way out here to Providence region, all reaching even into portions of southern Maine. So yeah, this is going to be a kind of a huge swath as this is going to be coming across during, again, I think around the noon to the 6 o'clock time frame on Thursday, because there's the supercell composite as we stop the clock at 19Z. That's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when I think they're going to be really starting to maximize during that main favored time frame from 2 to 6 o'clock. So that's probably the area of the highest concern. And you can actually already see another convective complex is going to be originating off this same zone, right? So this is going to be the setup as we get deeper into your Friday time frame, with another convective complex starting to originate. But further south, we've got the Saharan dust to deal with. So that's what's been the demise of 95L. And a lot of Saharan dust is moving across. And in fact, it's going into the Gulf of Mexico combined with the shear. And that's going to actually be moving into portions of Texas and across portions of Oklahoma. So not only are they dealing with just a lot of sinking air and plenty of heat, not record heat, but definitely hot for this time of year, even for them. And now they're going to just be dealing with some of that haze and some of that poor air quality that's going to be mixed in with some of that Saharan dust. The only good thing that might come out of this it could be some pretty vibrant sunsets across these regions as we get into your Thursday night. So, but here it's all about the heat, folks. Like I mentioned, for a good part of the country, well to the west, desert southwest, southern plains, all this area in red, that is well above average, right? Most of these are going to be under the triple digit heat. And the northern periphery, where you have this weakness, you've got another backdoor trough that's going to be entering good part of southern Canada up here into New England. And as that some of that colder pool mixes in, we're going to have another convective complex. So you can actually see this better on the 500 millibar, that this kind of a blue shaded area. So you do warm up for maybe a couple of days across the Northeast, but that is going to be short-lived by the time we head into this weekend, as this backdoor trough tries to mix in a much cooler, much more pleasant light conditions. But that's not before another round of strong to severe thunderstorms are just going to be kicking off the day on Friday. So here's the setup going into your noon time frame. Again, another convective complex originating around central and northern Minnesota. That dives east southeastward. So a lot of the same areas that likely are impacted tomorrow are going to be impacted on Friday with another similar type setup. So it could be another one of those slight risk, upgraded to an enhanced risk, even though right now there's nothing technically officially from the Storm Prediction Center because it's beyond the 3 day, it's 4 days out. But the computer learning model is actually already picking up on this action, seeing that convective complex and painting a picture across these regions, across portions of central and northern Illinois, back into Indiana, going into Ohio, through Pennsylvania, upstate New York, along this kind of same similar zone where these convective complexes are going to be diving from the northwest down into the east southeastward trajectory, taking advantage of those higher dew points. I mean, yeah, that's well into the 70s, folks. Anything 70 or higher is very oppressive. And obviously, the higher this number, there's more moisture in the atmosphere to work with. We've got the lift mechanisms. We got the heat further to the south. So you got a lot of ingredients really starting to come together on the day on Friday again, saying, hey, this could be another fairly significant event. So definitely be on high alert across these regions. But out in the tropics, like I mentioned, that's still hanging on 10% probability, out here for the 95L. It's kind of a tough road to follow, right? This was a 70% from the NHC. Now it's down to 10. And there's a new convective complex, like I showed you at the beginning of the video, with this kind of an active tropical wave that's going to be shifting closer to portions of Florida, off into the Carolina coast. I don't think it actually gets its act together, but it does pull in a lot of higher water content across these regions heading into your day on Friday. That's going to be, bringing more rounds of showers and thunderstorms. Obviously, Florida's been really impacted. Very warm waters off the southern Florida. Some of these have been crazy high. Even, in fact, yesterday, not officially, folks, but some of these were like 100 degrees. It's just something I've never even seen before. It's just crazy stuff, making the heat index off the chart, down there 115 or above. That is some nasty stuff they've been dealing with in Marathon and Key West and down there towards Miami, with these just insane heat indexes on a daily basis. So obviously, this atmosphere, this whole atmosphere, I've seen dew points in the 83 range. That is unheard of. That is crazy high. So it's like a sauna out there. So obviously it doesn't take much. If you just have any little lift in that atmosphere, it's going to produce and wring it out like a sponge. And that's probably what's going to happen. But it puts on the brakes. You see it's trying to enter land further into Georgia and the South Carolina. But with the backdoor trough that comes in for the weekend, even though you are going to turn warm across portions of the Northeast, that quickly is short-lived by this backdoor trough. This will bring in much more cooler, pleasant light conditions, but with compressional heating, that'll really elevate these temperatures further south, especially across the southeast as we head into Sunday, with widespread triple digits breaking out across a good part of the southern plains again, across a good part of the southeast. Some of these areas, your highest temperatures so far this summer to end July and head into those first day or two of August. And man, there's the donut, folks. I mean, underneath that ridge, a lot of sinking air. There's like, you're begging for rain and it is just not coming. So, you know, what's happening in the Pacific Northwest? Well, you get a little bit of heat, but overall it's not bad. It's dry. Nothing's really going on. So, hey, talk about the Pacific Northwest. Well, it's just enjoy the nice weather, folks. It's been really nice out there. So where it hadn't been really nice is where we're going to be blowing up these convective complexes. And so this is the area, the main concern going in the week ahead, just on the northern periphery of this ridge. And obviously, as this tropical wave gets a little bit closer, it's going to increase the rain probabilities for Florida. So as we get closer into your work, deeper into your work week, these rain showers are going to be increasing as this little tropical wave gets a little bit closer into that area. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch me next update where I protect you before and after the storm.